Hey guys, John Faulkner here, and welcome to episode 3 of Modern Alpha Life. Today, I sit at the table in the studio with one of my dear friends, Ali Ferris, to have a woman's perspective on just the world of firearms. You know, we like to say a lot of times it's a male-driven industry, but the females are catching up and catching up quickly. And I think it's absolutely amazing. So in this episode, I sit down with one of my good friends, Ali, and listen to her. I mean, this is a female that's been in the industry for over a decade. She's worked in gun shops. She's worked for manufacturers. She's worked for online retailers. She's a competitive shooter. She's put on matches herself. So she has a wide range of knowledge, not just for women, but for men as well. But we sit down and we talk about how we can introduce women into the sport of shooting and how we can get them to even fall in love with it even more than they already are. So I hope you enjoy this ride as we sit down and talk with my good friend Ali. Hey guys, John Faulkner here with Modern Alpha Life, and in this episode I have one of my dear friends, Ali Ferris, here in the studio with us, which is still under construction, but we are getting there. But I wanted Ali to join us today on this podcast and talk a little bit about women in the firearms community and getting them more into firearms, into competitions, CCW, you name it. And Ali has been in the industry for quite a while. She's worked for me with multiple companies. She's worked at a gun shop, she's worked at a gun range, she's ran competitions for a league that she ran for a while. She's shot in competitions. She's an avid CCW carrier. So she has a wealth of knowledge that we're gonna try to suction cup pull out of her today, because what I really wanted was a female's perspective on a lot of things, because there's just so much information out there, but it's always like a guy's perspective trying to say, I think this will work. So this episode is really geared towards women, but I hope that the men can really take grasp of it, because it might be able to help you with, you know, your girlfriend or your wife, your sister, your mother, and help you be able to maybe understand a little bit about what they might be going through or what might be keeping them from truly experiencing what we experience most of the time in the gun industry, which is a lot of fun, a lot of camaraderie. We have so many friends, you know, in the industry, and it's just a phenomenal sector to be in. So without further ado, hello. Ali Ferris. So Ali, all right. The number of women not only purchasing guns, but carrying firearms, CCW holders, shooting competitions, the numbers have trended up in the last decade or so, drastically, really.
I think it was like 50% of gun purchasers last year, I think, were female.
Right. So it's really cool to see, you know, and we see it in gun shops, and we see it at shows and stuff that we go to, and you know, so Ali is somebody that I think a lot of the females out there can learn from her mistakes, even things that she's tried, and she's a lot like a lot of us. You know, she's tried a lot of gear. A lot of gear, a lot of holsters, a lot of guns, clothing bags, you know, you name it. She fits in with us around the office and when we go on road trips. So, all right, Ali, first of all, you're a CCW holder.
Yes.
So we're gonna start there. And I hear women say all the time, like, it's just hard for me to conceal a gun. You know, I mean, I'm 6'5", 220, 225 pounds, depending on what day of the week it is. It's not hard for me to carry like a full-size M&P with an X300 on it and wear it all day long and never be uncomfortable.
Well, a lot of women have this, I think maybe people in general, a lot of women have like a false sense of thinking that they're not going to have to make any adjustments to whatever, to their clothing choices, what they're doing. So they have this false sense that they just are going to be able to wear what they wear, not make any changes, and be able to carry a big ass gun in their pants. And it's just, you know, you're carrying a big hunk of metal in your pants. You're going to have to make some minor tweaks. Granted, there's gear and equipment that make it easier to do that, but you do have to accommodate a little bit.
So along the lines of on-body carry, let's talk about some of the things that
Try encourage.
Yes, we try to encourage, on-body
versus
carry.
Purse or something.
Yeah, you never have to worry about it getting knocked off. It's closer to you. You have more control over your firearms at all times. That's why we prefer on-body carry. So for on-body carry with a female, where would you say a woman should start? Like I tell men all the time, it always starts with a good belt. You can have the best holster in the world, but if you have a crappy, flimsy belt, it's going to sag. It's never going to be comfortable. The gun's going to move around. Where would you say a female should start?
Well, there's going to be a lot of trial and error. Man, I still go through stuff. But trying stuff out is going to probably be the key. I wish there were, you can probably there's probably some gun shops available where they'll let you try on a bunch of different things, but it's going to be a lot of trial and error. What works for me may not work for you.
Right.
And everybody wears different clothes, particularly, women have different styles and stuff. So what works for one person may not work for another. So if you can at all, try on different things, try different holsters, try different belts and setups and everything. But I feel like a lot of people also may not realize that they should invest in good stuff first. And they make that mistake of, I'm just now jumping into it. I'm just gonna kind of pinch pennies now and start cheap and, work my way up when I'm more into it or, when I feel more comfortable carrying. But you are gonna get what you spend. You're gonna get out of your equipment what you spend.
Right.
I mean, really, the whole buy once, cry once thing, but it's true. If you buy really cheap crap, you're not going to enjoy carrying. I know a lot of people, a lot of women in particular, who are like, I tried carrying my whatever, and, it was using X holster, and I didn't have any good luck, or, it was really bulky, or I hated it, or whatever, and I haven't tried again. And it's like, well, try different things, try better equipment. And an annoying side of it, I feel like, is there's a lot of, and you mentioned this with just you being a dude, it's different for dudes than it is for women.
Right.
You walk into most gun stores and the advice is just tragic that these men are giving to women.
And that's why we're doing this podcast.
Yeah, you walk into a gun store and, old Joe Bob's like, yeah, get a pink revolver. That's all you need, honey. And it's like, it's terrible. So, you're going to go through a bunch of stuff. You're going to have so much trial and error, but eventually you will come up with that really, key.
Perfect setup.
Yeah, that key combo.
And I will say, even for guys, but I'm sure it works for females also. Just because it works for me doesn't mean it's going to work for your friend. It could work for Ali, but it's not going to work for somebody that's built just like her or built a little bit different. Nikki, who runs our camera here, he and I literally bought the same exact holster setup for a particular firearm. He loves it, carries it every day. I hated it and pretty much threw it into the box holsters.
Oh, I'm sure you probably have been.
Yeah, I have a huge, but it literally just went there, and I was like, how could it fit me? Well, there's a big size difference between us, but it's also
everybody's body's shaped different too. Especially women. Frame size matters. What kind of shirts you choose to wear matters. Where you're going to be carrying matters. Like it's your frame size.
So let's talk about that first. What position of carry suits you the best that you think will help most women starting out? Because the trend towards men right now is appendix carry.
It is. I prefer appendix carry. Mm-hmm. I don't know what it is, but it's more it's easier for me to reach. I like it being in front, on this side of my body. It just feels like a more comfortable area instead of it potentially being somewhere where I have to really make a move for it. Mm-hmm. Granted, it's not that big of a difference and it's easily doable. But also, for some reason, just with the way my body's shaped, I have a harder time actually properly concealing when I'm not carrying appendix. Mm-hmm. If I'm carrying, back here, the way my body's set up and the way my little muffin top goes, I'm a small frame, but the way my hips are shaped and the way I wear my pants, that gun is just sticking out. Right. There's nothing that you can do to prevent that. I should say I've tried all the equipment and everything, but the only way that I can properly, fully carry concealed, where you don't even know I'm carrying, is appendix. Right. And it's real, and I really like the location. It's really accessible, just a quick little motion, and it's
Do you prefer undershirt behind the firearm.
I don't wear.
No,
wear an undershirt.
I didn't know if
No.
I didn't know if women
No.
do that or not.
Some probably
men
do.
are like undershirts behind the
I live in
pistol.
Florida. It's hot.
It's always hot. Yeah, it's always hot.
So
we say down here in Florida, your gun's always
wet.
wet if you carry it because you're either sweating or it's raining.
Oh.
All right, so position, you like appendix.
Yes.
I know a lot of women like a little bit behind the hip,
Sure.
just because if they put it on the hip, it feels like they're getting really wide, and it starts to.
Oh yeah, and
they feel like it just.
Yeah, it's like sticking out. It's like a little nub.
So we talked about position a little bit, and is that something that you?
Well, so I will say I do have a pair of. I know it's cliche. I'm a girl and I wear leggings. Okay.
I'm a guy, I wear leggings, it's okay.
But they do make, there is a company that makes, I'm trying to remember the brand, give me a minute, but they make a version of concealed carry leggings where, I actually have a couple different versions, ones with like loops and stuff, but this particular version it's like reinforced along the waist and it has like
a little bit of padding?
Slots, sort of. It's like reinforced with this special strong elastic stuff, but it has like little slots where, and I mean I've tested it extensively and like done cartwheels and stuff to try to get this stuff dislodged, and it doesn't, unless you're actually drawing, it doesn't come out.
Right.
But those Alexo Athletica,
there you go.
They have their leggings actually have different spots, so they have appendix and then they have back here too, and the way that sits back there, if you're wearing the right shirt, it will hold it taut enough to your body that you probably are able to carry there if you don't like appendix. You know, I honestly don't know really how dudes can handle appendix carry with all this stuff going on there.
We get her done.
But I got a lot of space, a lot of real estate that I can just have guns.
See guys, full of wisdom. She doesn't know how we get it done, so we keep some secrets from the female community. That's how we try to advance.
Crevices.
All right, so we talked about a position. We talked about some apparel that you can use. What are some, I would say, pitfalls or downfalls that you've seen other women, and you just like, I wish I could help that female right now
with carrying on them?
With carrying on them. Because a lot of women don't wear belts. Like that's a big one that I've seen. They try to carry inside the waistband, but they don't want to wear a belt, and it sags.
Yeah.
And so it's not that the gun or the holster is actually coming out.
Pants up every 2 seconds.
Right, but when the grip of the gun starts to extend from the body, because the pants get flimsy, like when you wear a junky belt. Flapper. Right, it starts to print a lot.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I've seen with a lot of women, and they've come into shops or talked to them, and they're like, well, how can I make it more? I'm like, you have to wear a belt.
Yeah.
Like, you have to wear a belt.
And honestly, before I started carrying over 10 years ago, and I really didn't wear belts before that. And that kind of goes back to what I said about you do have to you're gonna have to change up your stuff just a little bit. Like if you want to carry a heavy chunk of something in your pants, you're going to need to have something to hold it up, because you're not going to be able to stick it in there and it just magically holds itself up.
Right. So, CCW side, anything else you want to add to women? Because I think this is one of the largest growing sectors is women that are concealed carry holders. You can call it the climate that we're living in right now.
Yeah.
The issues that people are seeing more and more of, the need or the want for more self-defense from themselves.
Like maybe, I don't know where it's originating, but I do feel like it's more, a lot of women now, I feel, are more empowered to kind of take their own safety into their own hands. And maybe it could be because of just the feel of how society feels right now. It feels very on edge, very tense. Maybe it's just me, I don't know. But it feels like around any corner you could be potentially at risk.
Right.
I just saw a terrifying video the other day. It was in the Miami airport at a bus stop. I'm sure you saw that one.
Yes, I did.
With the shoelace.
Yes.
Good God.
Yes.
So anyone at any time is vulnerable, and women are particularly vulnerable because men and women are different. We are different. We're different size. We're different reactions. We're different everything. So, I feel like maybe women are sort of realizing that now it's not too late to try to take control of your own personal safety in your little zone. You know, and I mean, maybe also with social media, you know, it's more common now to see women shooting, you know, to see women actually, and there's tons of women-led organizations, and I'm not necessarily endorsing any of them, and I'm not going to mention any of them, but, you know, because I don't have any personal really experience with them. But, you know, seeing that, I feel like also may lend a little bit of, you know, credence to, oh, maybe I should, you know, maybe there's a little bit less of a barrier to entry to actually getting involved in starting to carry, getting educated on it, that kind of thing. And I didn't want to say, you asked me what else I would add for CCW stuff. Practice drawing your gun from how you carry it. I'm sorry.
Wardrobe everything.
Wardrobe
so, like,
everything. If you, like, obviously, make sure your gun is unloaded.
Pointing in a safe direction.
Completely dry fire, like go in a different room that you don't have any ammunition in, you know, you're not. But what I mean is actually see how long it takes you to get your gun out of your holster, out of your pants. You know, and if you're gonna, I really don't encourage purse carry or anything, you know, but if you are going to, figure out, take your purse and then pretend like you have to grab it out at like the speed of light.
Of a need.
You know, speed of a need. You know, if if your life is in danger, how long does it take you to get it out of the holster and ready and up and ready to actually use? You know, and I mean, honestly, that's not just for women.
Right. It's true.
You know, you need to make sure, I mean, if your gun fits comfortably and you can conceal it and it's beautiful, you don't even know it's there, that's fantastic. But if you can't get it out in a timely manner, then you might as well not wear it.
Yeah.
And if you don't practice doing that, and if it's not just something that you absolutely have committed to muscle memory, there's no point in carrying that gun. You're going to be a soup sandwich trying to get it out.
Right.
You know, practice drawing from your concealed position. And that's what I want.
And that's something that I say to people all the time, guys all the time. You know, I take a lot of training classes from multiple instructors, and, you know, battle belts, war belts, whatever you want to call it, speed rigs for competitions, things like that. They're always cool. But I took quite a few classes last year where I literally wore my appendix holster with approval from the instructor. I mean, vehicle CQB classes and things like that.
But I mean, that's where you're going to be at.
Right. It makes it real world. I'm not a law enforcement officer.
You're not going to have your gun on a leg.
Right. I'm not going to have, you know, a drop leg. I'm not going to have anything, you know, of that nature. Not that I carry a drop leg, but but you know, it makes it to where, like Ali was saying, being able to be comfortable with a firearm on, but then also be able to withdraw it also, you know. And speaking of firearms, let's talk about a couple options that you would recommend to a female. You know, and every person's going to be different. Yeah. But here's the world that I've seen too often. A guy walks in and says, this would be the perfect gun for my girlfriend or my wife. And I say, that's the perfect gun if you no longer want to date her or be married to her. Yeah. Because a lot of guys want to, we'll get her a revolver because it's so simple.
Because and it's small and there's so few things that can go wrong with it. Like this,
and a revolver is an extremely hard pistol to shoot accurately. And I know there's going to be a lot of comments. That's fine. They are.
Whatever.
They are more.
There's better options.
There's better options.
Particularly for women with small hands.
Right.
Just because the operation, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, well, women have dainty hands. Well, I don't have dainty hands. I have man hands. But even women with dainty hands, like, I mean, that means that the revolver doesn't. You feel you feel the whole recoil. You feel all that recoil. There's no springs to absorb any. There's none of that reciprocating. The slide. There's nothing there to actually absorb the recoil. So her dainty little hand feels it when she shoots it. That's why when you walk into a gun store and like you overhear people suggesting to women particularly to pick up like
an Airweight or something, J-frame,
tiniest little revolver to have as their first gun. I'm like, no.
Yeah, and the other thing I see too is a lot of men try to gravitate women towards little small pocket pistol size, bodyguard 380s, LCPs, which aren't horrible.
And on one hand, it's like I understand that concept when they're trying to think of, oh, you know, they have a smaller body, less of a,
Yeah.
area to actually conceal and all that. But there are, even if you just up the frame size just a tad, there's little
difference.
9mm, there's little small ones that is going to be a very minimal difference in felt recoil.
Right.
That are, you have, just way better ballistics and stuff. So
like I recommend
than like a 380.
for a lot of female shooters, like a Glock 43.
And that's what I carry.
Or a Glock
I just haven't
48
updated
maybe. It's a little bit bigger. SIG P365 is a great choice. An M&P Shield. There's a lot of that that small size double stack pistols that have come out in the last couple of years that I think lend itself very well to the female carrier and the male. I mean, I carry a 365X every now and then, just because it's something a little bit smaller than what I usually carry, depending on where I'm going or what I'm wearing. But what are some of the guns that you've carried?
No, I mean, those are all really good suggestions. I mean, I'm kind of weird. Like, when I find something that works that I like I haven't updated my carry gun since like the 43 came out.
Right.
Like, I got it when it came out. I don't. I do have a magazine extension on there, so it adds a couple more rounds. And I mean, obviously, what's cool about something like the 365, it's, set up where there's, I don't remember if it's exactly double stack, but you can get way more rounds, but I believe if it's not the exact same size as the 43, it's just like a millimeter of a difference, which I mean is really cool, because the more rounds you can carry, the better, and that's a whole nother discussion. Like, that you're gonna have like an expert, discuss that.
Anything else you want to add to the CCW side? The Monday through Friday.
Try shooting them all. Go to a gun shop or what my friends do is have me go to the range and bring every single gun I own and try every single one. But go to a gun shop that has the ability to rent different guns and literally buy, rent 5, 10 different carry guns.
Yeah.
Different, feel them all, feel the recoil, learn how they feel in your hand, learn how they shoot, and see actually what feels good in your hands and what you're actually accurate with. And obviously there's a whole caveat to that, like get training and stuff too. But no, as far as gun wise, it's test driving a car, just go ahead and everybody's gonna be different. Everybody likes the different feel, but actually get educated first. Take the classes first before you buy your carry gun. That way you have a little bit more of just a baseline level knowledge before you're actually going to jump and make a decision. Whereas like if you had made the choice beforehand, you may choose poorly and you'll have to re-choose your gun. So. And
I tell people that all the time. I see way too many people, they grab a gun at the counter of the gun shop, they literally go, that feels great, I'll take it. And there could be a gun that you just didn't know, like, did it feel as comfortable in my hand? Oh, that one's just a touch bigger. But you could take them to the range and you take that little bit smaller of a pistol and they can't hit the broadside of a barn.
Yep, you don't know until you shoot.
Where you can get them with something that they didn't really think, but when they shoot it, they're like, oh, I like that. Yeah. The impulse, the recoil impulse was maybe a little bit different. The sights were tracked a little bit different, or they picked up the sights a little bit different. The angle of the grip, there could be a lot of things.
So many factors.
Right, but I agree with you 100%. Everybody should try to rent, go find a reputable gun range and be able to borrow them and test them out. All right, that's Monday through Friday.
Especially women.
We talked Monday through Friday, concealed carry. Now we're getting Saturdays. Let's jump over to competition.
Oh yeah.
All right, we're putting on the shooting glasses. We're putting on the safari belt. We're putting on the speed holster. Ali Ferris ripping through stages. What got you in?
Slowly.
What got you into competition shooting to begin with?
Well,
because the number is less in the competitions of females, but it's starting to grow.
Dominated by men. It is, but I've just always kind of liked a challenge, and I'm not really sure if, well, at least logistically, how I started is because I was working. I had just started at a range. I was actually in law school at the time. I liked working at the range so much that I quit after a year, quit law school.
Good life decision. She got to work with me.
God,
I mean,
I would have hated being a lawyer. I'd been the worst lawyer on the planet. So I quit law school and started full time at the range because it was only supposed to be like a summer job. So and then at that range they were holding competitions, and so I think I shot my first one, and it was a total hilarious thing. But I had done a bunch of classes before then, like a bunch of actual, I don't think any of them were specifically competition classes, but we did eventually start holding competition classes. So started shooting competition then, and I just loved it just because it's a cool challenge. But what's cool is the stages change every time, and so it's not the same every time. But also like the camaraderie of the people that you shoot with. I'll tell you what, like the competition world, the people that shoot that, the guys and gals that shoot it are freaking awesome. They're my people.
Yeah, and I think competition, it doesn't matter what it is. IPSC, USPSA, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what. PRS, they're all phenomenal organizations to get into. And I think they can be extremely intimidating for people to get into.
Women.
Like you see somebody like rip a stage and you just kind of want to drop your belt. You just kind of want to drop your belt and walk away. And the more and more that I'm getting into PRS, that's how I feel.
Oh, really?
Like I watch somebody clear a stage and I'm like, I don't know why I'm going to try. Like I tell the guy, this is going to be dumb.
You have to accept right off the bat that you're going to suck. You're going to totally suck right when you start.
A lot of PRS matches,
you might suck the whole time.
I have a guy carry a steel target with a hammer just so I can hear something hit the target on some stages. Okay, I mean that's just where you are. But I think competition is number one, a controlled and safe environment for somebody to handle a firearm
at speed,
under some stress, because everybody's great on a square range where you're just shooting, over a table to a paper target, but then when the buzzer goes off, you literally poop your pants. And all that
your
happens,
first match,
that's it. You poop your pants. You pull up the gun the first time you pull the trigger and the mag falls out.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
like a rite of passage.
Right.
I think,
it's just what happens. But how do you think women can feel more involved and less intimidated to come into something that is predominantly dominated by men?
It is. It's an alpha. It's a macho ass thing to do. Is walk up to a 50 women, 50 dudes when you're a little girl, and register for this match. You're check in for this match. It is intimidating, but. I mean, probably one of the easiest things to do is sort of latch on to someone that already does it that you trust.
Yeah.
Whether it's if you're a woman, if you know another woman that does it, that's really great. But even if it's a dude, if somebody you trust and just can kind of piggyback off of for a while, watch them, go to the matches. Just because if you're not shooting, you can go to a match and watch. Bring your eye protection, your ear protection, or maybe your buddy has it, but just watch a couple matches. If you really want to see exactly how it works, because on social, you see people post pictures of their stage, or videos of their stages and stuff. But there's a lot of stuff that goes in between. Resetting the stage depending on what kind of match you're shooting. There's a lot that goes on in between. So just to kind of get the feel for it and exactly how it's going to feel, which is really laid back. I have shot an absolute metric shit ton of matches, and I haven't been intimidated a single match yet. You know what I mean? Even to the point where I shot oh my God, it was hysterical. I was running it was an AK match. It was the first time I ran an AK ever. Oh God, it was funny. I mean, but like usual, I was middle of the pack. I'm really even shooting pistol. I'm not. And that's one of that goes back to you have to accept that you're, unless you really put all your effort into it, you aren't going to be the best. And there's nothing wrong with that. If I spent more time practicing and stuff, then I would easily get better. But I do it for fun. I really do competition stuff for fun. So go out and actually latch onto someone, watch a match, be there. And if you feel comfortable, one of the good things to do is borrow some equipment first.
Yeah.
Borrow a shooting rig, an actual competition shooting rig from someone, and at home, dry fire, make sure no ammo's anywhere in the room, and obviously point and safe action. Practice drawing from the holster from your little competition rig, just practice, see if it feels good, because when you're out on the range, you're going to be a little bit more suited to being less intimidated if you actually do like the basics first by yourself at home, or even just practicing on the range with just a couple people around, on a different day than the competition. You're going to be a little bit more comfortable when you're actually in the spotlight with that timer next to your face.
Right.
If you have actually practiced
it's like
before.
It's beeping at you.
Yeah. Oh, it's hollering at you.
Right.
It's like, yep.
And I tell people all the time, I mean, when it comes to competitions, I think one of the things with some gun competitions I wish I'd see more is like a novice or a beginner's class, where it was a slower pace, longer stages as far as time and things like that. But, I tell people all the time, don't worry about the time. Don't worry about the amount of targets that you hit or miss. Okay. Just start and try to get better. That's it. You're not going to go burn it down.
No, I kind of just compete against myself.
Right. And that's the greatest thing I think about shooting is you start to compare yourself month after month or year after year, and it's a huge baseline of, am I actually getting more efficient or proficient with my firearm?
And we can talk about it until we're blue in the face. We're not even going to start addressing it. I'll just mention it. But it's not tactical.
Yeah.
It's competition. It'll get you killed in the street. But there's a lot of very phenomenal, world-renowned people who have addressed that in lengthy videos and explained why that's not the case. And there's room for each discipline. There's room for, there's a lot of crossover, but competition in general, at least the foundational things of being fast and being accurate are two incredibly effing important things when you're using firearm.
Yeah.
In any scenario, so that when you can practice that and get better at it, that's it.
You have a leg up.
Yeah.
And and it's so when you start talking about being in matches, where can women really start to I'm going to say gain some appreciation more towards the competitive side of things? I love seeing more women out at the range, for competitions. It's usually it bothers me at times when a lot of guys come out, they bring their girlfriend or their wives, and they're like, you can sit over there and watch
and
me.
Just watch, yeah.
And just watch. I'm like,
I always assume that's like the woman not wanting to participate, and I personally don't understand that viewpoint, because I'd be like, I wouldn't just be able to sit there an entire match and not shoot. So I don't know what's going through their mind, but I feel like the easier it is for a woman to jump in, the more likely they're going to take to it. So, throwing them into their first match blind, they're never going to shoot again.
Right.
They're never going to want to shoot a competition again if they just are a total, flopping around and just not knowing what they're doing their actual first stage. So having, again, practicing and doing everything beforehand and making sure that at least there's that baseline, just preparation, can alleviate some of that pressure, because it is it is intimidating, but I wish, I don't know what it is about shooting that really deters women. I think it's really great.
I mean, I think it's one of those things. I think it's one of those things where I don't want to say a missed opportunity. I feel like it is at times a missed opportunity, and I think one of the reasons is because you start looking at competition, it can be very expensive, very expensive.
True.
And I try to tell people all the time, if you got an outside the waistband holster and a gun that goes bang, get a mag carrier.
Yeah, the ammo is just going to be
and you're good to go. Expense. But also, look for 22 matches. But start with what you have. Start with what you have. It doesn't have to be fully stippled. It doesn't have to have huge mag wells. It doesn't have to have comps on the end of it or red dots. It doesn't have to be full race rigs.
Just bootstrap it and go.
Right, just go.
Yeah.
One of the things.
Run what you brung.
Right. One of the things that we've seen become more and more popular over the last year or so with everything that's happened in the ammo industry is a lot of more 22 matches, or a lot more steel matches and things like that have really low round counts.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The fun. So I'm shooting right now. The one that I'm really enjoying is action steel matches. I think it's only 25 rounds per stage, and there's 5 stages. there's no resetting. In between each shooter, we don't spray, but in between the squads, we spray, spray them white again. But it's, whereas like in USPSA, not only was it an expense for us shooting, but also if we're running them, like there's, all the paper targets you have to cycle every time, and it's just expensive. But yeah, I mean, as far as like round count and stuff, some of the USPSA matches that I used to shoot would be upward, you'd have like 34 rounds on a stage, and have like 3 of those high round count stages. Granted, there'd be like one that's 20 something, whatever, but yeah, no, it's so dedicating like 150 rounds per match is probably a good fit. And if you shoot 1 a month or something, that's still jumping in, and that's still
reasonable,
doable.
Yeah. And Ali has shot pistol competitions for years and years. And then she called me. Then she called me one day and she said, "John, I need an AK." And I said,
I did.
Why do you need to borrow an AK?
Oh no, here's what I did. I said, "Do you own an AK?" And every single person I asked said, "No." Why would I own an AK? I'm like, I don't know. I don't own one either, but I need it for something. And yeah, so that was last year.
What made you do that match?
So actually, it was kind of an opportunity to be up there for a potential business thing, but it didn't end up working out. But yeah, it was a challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The AK guys are hilarious. The AK people. Oh my God, those are
They're a different
interesting dudes.
They're a different breed.
I love them though. They're great. It's funny. They are all very funny.
When it comes to competition, what do you think can help women stay in the sport longer? Like, are there any tips that you can give? Because you've been in it for quite a few years now. What can actually...
Don't get deterred when you aren't. If you shoot a couple and you're like, man, I'm still embarrassed that I'm scoring, here on the results. Right. Like, who cares? Who cares what you score? Don't be embarrassed. I feel like women, they take a lot of things personally, like just in general. Women internalize a lot of things. I am no exception. But you can't treat like match results as this embarrassing thing, it's going to deter you from like embarrassing yourself again. It's like when people look at match results, they don't look at your result. They look at their own. They don't care about how you scored. Nobody cares. Stop thinking people care. And also stop caring what people think. Just continue to go out and shoot. Do what you want to do. Life lessons with Ali. Do not follow my advice. Whatever you do. Worst decision.
So we've covered the CCW side. We've covered the competition side. Let's talk about the industry side of things, because you have been a part of this industry for over a decade.
Yeah.
Close to a decade.
Yeah,
over a decade.
Close to. It'll be March. I think it'll be a decade. I'm old. You're older.
I am older. The industry, it used to be a bunch of gun bunnies, and it's starting to shift more towards.
Luckily,
there's a lot of women in marketing. There's a lot of women in sales. There's a lot of women working behind counters at gun shops.
There's real women that work in the gun industry. If you don't know, not just.
What is it what was it that sucked you in to the gun industry? And what kind of keeps you...
It was kind of a fluke. I mean, I told you I was in law school, and but it was a fluke that I started working at the shop, but I took to it because I felt like, I don't know what it is, but I've always been a tomboy, I've always been kind of like, I'm really goofy.
She's really goofy.
An absolute
She's like trying hard
weirdo.
Right now. Yeah.
I had to study to have this conversation. I don't know how to socialize, ever. I don't know how to hold a conversation. So I'm a goof. So at anything that like I can latch onto to make me look cooler or like look like I'm not a total goon, I like. And so I was like, wow, like people think that, I'm a girl working in a gun shop, and this was 10 years ago. It was the coolest feeling. I was like, damn, this is pretty, I feel like a badass,
And she wore badass tall boots too.
I lashed onto it, but I fit in, but I've always kind of fit in with the type, like loud, with like dudes, because I've always been a tomboy. So, but I feel like I latched onto it and just kind of liked that I don't know, liked that as a hobby, like just being involved in guns as a girl. I feel like, I don't know how, how there's still so many people that aren't involved in guns, but when you meet people or they find out that you're involved in gun stuff, they're like impressed or something. So I was like, man, this makes me feel like I'm a total not nerd, and so I kind of just stuck with it. And I don't know, it was always such a challenge to learn everything too, and to be able to educate other people about it, like when they would come into the shop and everything, and just, I don't know, I liked it.
Yeah.
I thought it was cool and I stuck with it. Yeah, that's about it.
It's one of those things where, like I said, Ali's worked for me for years. I've seen her in multiple different roles, and I think it's always impressive, to have women behind the counter being able to help men and women. Men at times can be an ass towards a lot of women that a lot of them have.
A lot of it's unintentional too.
It is.
I hate to use the word mansplain because that's it's like a annoying thing that woke people claim people do, but it happens. So like dudes at gun shops mansplain the hell out of women to women, and it's just they have this accidental superiority because they know more, kind of thing, and it's like it rubs off instead of like them actually getting valuable information. They give like shit information, and it's just, I don't know what it is, but they have this.
But I've seen this woman work behind the counter, and the amount of knowledge that she has, I was like, dude, if you would just shut up and listen to what she's saying, you'd see it from across the shop or from across the building.
People didn't trust. I get it because I've walked into places like when Radio Shack was a thing. If I
dated yourself when
if I needed
Radio
something,
Shack was a thing.
I wouldn't.
Do we need some alligator clips real quick or something? We got to solder a job.
Come on, you miss Radio Shack.
I do miss Radio Shack.
So I would, if there was, and I feel bad saying this, but like if there was a woman or a man, like if they were both working there, I would specifically ask the man for advice, right? Because it just makes sense.
Right.
It's like, and it's such a sexist thing for me to say. It's whatever. So I understood where people were coming from, but I had worked with a bunch of different people, and there'd be multiple occasions where I would try to explain and articulate a certain concept about something to a gentleman, and you could just tell that it wasn't clicking because perhaps they just inherently didn't trust what I was saying because I'm a girl. What can I know about this particular topic? The best part about it would be, if like one of my employees, if they would go and want to ask them or something, they would typically just point back and be like, yep, exactly what she said kind of thing. So that was nice, but it was a little bit of vindication, but I don't know.
What would you say, what would you give, if any, tips of women wanting to get into the industry?
To work in the industry?
To work in the industry, like you have.
Win the lottery first so that you don't have to have any income ever
just
again.
Start. We pay great.
No, so actually starting from scratch, like starting either like, competitions or, whatever, starting to learn about stuff that way, and then versus like knowing nothing and then starting in a shop, maybe easier to do that way, but no, it's and I feel so lame just saying this again, but like it's empowering when you're a woman and you can know things about guns, so if you want to feel that way, I get it, go get a job at a gun shop, maybe even ask if they need any help, like as a non-paid something, just to start somewhere. But it's such a tight-knit community though too. So when you start shooting the matches, you're gonna meet people that like either they own the gun shop down the range, or they're an employee at the gun shop down the range, or whatever. You'll eventually, like if you befriend enough of these people and you become good at what you do, there's probably gonna be an opportunity that someone says, oh hey, we need some
somebody like you
around the shop. Would you be interested in a position at the gun shop? So, that could be it. That could happen, perhaps.
All right. Any last parting words of Ali wisdom that you want to give To the men that have women in their lives, or the women?
Oh, to the men that have women.
Not. You got to hold all those. I said just to the women.
Oh, okay. No. Well, actually, real quick, I want to add something that I was just thinking of, and because I don't know what it is, but when we were when I was at the range, when I was managing the range, when we offered classes, there's for some reason an inherent like disconnect between a spouse and between you and your spouse when it comes to educating them on something. So like no matter how you stand at the range and try to shoot at targets and teach your wife anything about guns, she might as well not even be listening,
right? Because
she's not going to listen to anything you say. I had seen it a million times. For some reason, there's just this disconnect, and maybe it's just an inherent feeling like you feel like you're being maybe talked down to. I don't know, but when it's a third party, it makes it so much easier to actually absorb information. So if you want to get your wife, some training, don't do it yourself. Even if you're an instructor, I'm saying, like if I don't care if you're an instructor, that's fantastic. But get someone else to instruct your wife, and she'll learn more. She'll actually listen.
And I have so many friends that are instructors, and I ask all of them, and they're like, "We will take women 1,000 to 1 because they're ready to learn, they're ready to absorb it. They don't come in with an ego.
That they think they're already a good shooter.
They are just there. Like if you ask any knowledgeable instructor, they're like, "Dude, we would train women all day long." So women, let's get out there. Let's make sure these instructors have a good career.
Yes.
All right. Are you ready?
For what?
Fast fire questions.
I told you not to do this.
We're gonna do it. This is how we end every episode. So 5 questions.
My brain operates at half capacity.
I didn't even give her a heads up to this one. I wanted to see her sweat a little bit. So 5 questions. You ready for this one?
I will walk out.
All right. Ready?
No, I no guarantee I'm gonna answer.
Pizza or hamburgers?
Pizza.
Favorite place to travel in America?
Hawaii.
Ooh.
Does that count? Is it a little?
Absolutely.
Non-contiguous.
Extend it. Right. Wow, she extended that one abroad.
The beach, if I have to do a generalization.
Glock or Smith & Wesson?
Depends. Glock, but.
Geez, that was the wrong one. Favorite number?
666. No, probably, I don't know, 7.
And who's the best boss you've ever had?
Nikki.
Dang it. I thought I had that one. Well, guys, we appreciate you listening to this podcast here with Ali. I'm so glad you were able to make it today.
Thank you for having me.
But so glad you were able to.
Thank you for totally not forcing me to be here.
This woman is awesome. As always,
I'm totally not here under duress.
Make sure that you follow us on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube at Modern Alpha Life. If you're listening to this on our podcast, whatever service you're using, make sure you subscribe to us as well so that when we drop new episodes, you're always notified as to them. And Ali, I love you, girl. And you're welcome here anytime.
Thank you for everything, as
always. All right. Y'all have a great one. See ya.
Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Modern Alpha Life. I appreciate you listening, and if you've gotten to this point, make sure that you hit that like and subscribe button on the video or on our podcast. It really helps us be able to get our message out, and it really shows us that you're ready for more episodes. And make sure that you add a comment below. Put in things that topics you would like to see us cover or people that you would like to see us interview, and we'll try to get around to those. From John Faulkner and the rest of the crew, I appreciate you listening to us, and have a great day.